Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Matt and Matt O-Scale Train podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matt Rochford, and with me is
Matt Suzuha.
Matt, how you doing tonight?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I am super excited tonight because we're going to cover a topic that you and I both love, that we've been talking about doing, and that will be O-Scale Subways. Yes, O-Scale Subways. Super duper ready to go on this. Now we're going to cover more than just subways. You know, we're going to cover subways and trolleys and interurban cars as well. You know, anything that's been mass produced in the O-Scale industry, so to speak. But yeah, we're at episode 5. I can't believe it. So, first thing I want to just reach out to everybody and say, you know, if you're listening to the podcast and you've subscribed to us, thank you so much. We appreciate it. You know, we're looking for more feedback. If you're able to, just let us know. But let's just get the show on the road. Let's get started and talking about subways. So
sounds good.
There's so much to say about this. So I think what we'll do is just I'll go over some history of the real subway. I'll take Chicago, you take New York, and then we'll just talk about the models by MTH and Lionel. All right. So I'm going to start with CTA. So the CTA began operating on October 1st, 1947, after acquired the properties of the Chicago Rapid Transit Company and the Chicago Surface Lines. On October 1st, 1952, CTA became the predominant operator of Chicago Transit when it purchased the Chicago Motor Coach Company. Now, I want to make a note that CTA is obviously just not the subway trains. The CTA as a whole has buses as well. But just to kind of make a note, the CTA has around 1,800 plus buses that operate 129 routes. The rapid transit system, the CTA, the subway cars, there's approximately around close to 1,500 rail cars operate 8 routes and around 224 miles of track. CTA trains make about 2,318 trips each day and serve 145 stations. So Chicago is one of the few cities in the world that has rail service to 2 major airports. CTA's Blue Line, the L, can take customers to O'Hare Airport, and Orange Line trains, which operate clockwise on the loop, travel to Chicago's Midway Airport. So CTA also provides around-the-clock service on certain routes. So like during each, late night and early morning routes, they call it like the night owl service. So it is an ongoing service that is day and night, working to move, millions of people a year, throughout the Chicagoland area. That's probably a good kind of, summary of the CTA, the Chicago Subway Service. Matt, I'll pass it over to you for the New York.
All right. So for the New York City system, it started operating in 1904, and it's now the 9th Avenue line. That's the line that first started. And in total right now, it has 472 stations that are in operation. And then 424 of those stations are connected by transfers and counted as single stations on the route. And it typically operates 24 hours and 7 days a week. And just so you know, there's a lot of great resources on this. I'm reading this off the Wikipedia page. However, there's also NewYorkCitySubway.org, and that's a fantastic resource. If you want history of the cars, the system, anything, go to those 2 sites. Those will give you any last thing you want to know. Great resources.
All right. Well, let's that was actually great information. And there's, like Matt said, there is tons of information out there. I pulled mine right from the CTA website. It was a CTA fax right from the CTA website. There's a lot of information out there on subways, trolleys, interurban cars. I'm talking like, real, prototypes out there. So, just Google search if you're interested in something in particular. But for now, right now, I think we're going to go ahead and just kind of talk about in general. Going to talk about the subways and MTH's production of them, and we'll also kind of hitch on Lionel as well. Matt, I'm going to put you as one of our resident MTH experts on subways. So why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay, so for the subways, we'll start with the earliest subways, which was 1998. They had the New York City, they had the R42 E Train. And then I believe in the same catalog, or maybe the catalog before that, we jumped to CTA and they had the Loop, which I believe was the 3200 series cars. Or was it the 6000?
So the current is the 6000 series, and then the older style one would have been the 3200 series cars.
It might be the 3200. And
Okay. Those are probably the most popular and most abundant subway cars that MTH produced for CTA are the 3200s.
In 1999, we have the R42 E Train. And this is a special set because obviously in 2001, we unfortunately had 9/11. And the final stop on that train is the World Trade Center. So when that set came out, and it was hotter than all get out after 9/11, and that set was worth big bucks because it said World Trade Center in the announcements, and that's been the only set MTH has ever done that had the World Trade Center announcements in it. So it's kind of interesting. If you own that set, you got something really cool. Now, one thing to note with those early subway sets, they're Rail King models of what are premier BMT cars, which they're the longer cars. The prototypes are 60 feet long. However, on the early MTH Rail King ones, they made them to IRT car standards, which they were a shorter car. So it's a truncated model of the R42 cars. And unfortunately, nobody's made a scale R42 that you can just buy, which kind of sucks. So if you want an R42, that's your only way to do it, unfortunately. And then in 2001, we had the R32, which is the first premier subway, and that, of course, was the N train. And this is the only subway set in BMT that has been made with 8 cars. All the rest of them have been 6. Why, I don't know. This one was 8. So we had the 4-car plus the 2-car add-on pack. And then I believe in 03, they had another 2-car add-on pack for the N train, which was pretty cool. And then shortly after that, we had some other additions to the IRT line. We had the R17s, the R21 Redbirds, the R36 World's Fair sets, and then we also had the R12s in the 3-volt era. So for 3-volt, we have a bunch of great things. We have the off-white Broadway local train in the R12, which is awesome. And then we have the graffiti sets. Now, this is the controversial sets. MTH made them with graffiti on them. So I have the R32 E Train. They also made the R17, with their graffiti on it. They are fantastic sets. A friend of mine, he's got the graffiti set. I love it. I said, I have the 32, and it's a beautiful train. The graffiti looks really cool. However, the MTA did not like that. And for me personally, I don't feel it was the right way to go as far as the MTA. The models are great. I love the graffiti. MTA got upset because, they had graffiti on the subway trains. They didn't like that. What my stance on this is, you know what? It was a time in history, and it's just being replicated. That's all it is. It's done. It's over with. Well, mainly done and over with now. But, it's a time in history. Just let it go and leave it be. I know it's a long ways past now, but, that's my particular stance on it. And then later on, we had some other BMT additions to the fleet. We had the R1s, and then we also had the BMT Standards, which those are nice because the Standards are 20-inch cars. I believe they're 67 feet long prototype. So they're really cool. And it was also one of the 2 sets that MTH made with a 3-car powered set and a 3-car dummy set. The other set was the Q-types, which are pretty cool. So those came out around 2008. And then we had some other additions in there too. We had the low Vs. And then after that, we had the R40 F train, which was the set that had the pantograph front gates on there, which is a beautiful set. And then we get into the Proto 3 days. So the Proto 3, the biggest annoyance is that they have Rule 17 lighting, which is unprototypical for subways. They don't have that. It's just standard lighting, which I don't understand why that is, but they have it like that. That's just the way it is. So as far as Proto 3, we have the R11, and then we also have a return of the R32. And then most recently here we have the return of the R40 set, and they're doing it in the pre-general overhaul and the post-general overhaul styles. So you can do one of each or both, whatever you like. And what's nice too is that these recent sets, they're actually got the plating on them. So it's got like the metallic finish. They are gorgeous sets. And as of right now, that's it. Nothing else. This MTH is going under, so who knows what's going to happen with subways after this.
I have to say that's a lot of subway trains.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, MTH kind of went like, you know what? We're doing subways, and they did it. You know, I do have a question for you. Going back to your World Trade Center sound set, is that sound set available?
No, it was actually that was the Proto 1.
Okay.
So no.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to see how, because you can download different sound sets. I was curious, and just for the listeners as well. Yeah.
And I should have mentioned this, that the R32N train, that was the very first Proto 2 subway set. So not only was it the first Proto 2, it was also the first Premier set. So the two before that were Proto 1, and then from the N train on, we have Proto 2.
Okay. The one thing that kind of that surprised me is that MTH actually never made a Premier CTA subway set. Was really looking forward to even having one. Now, with that said, I am very, very happy with my Rail King subway sets. It's not really a big deal. They're I don't know how much to scale that they actually are. I imagine they're the height wise they're fine, but I imagine that they're probably not as long as they should be, which is probably what makes them kind of more of a smaller scale because they're Rail King.
Actually, that's something I wanted to touch on too. Was technically all of the IRT subway sets were technically larger than scale. Now, I don't know if this applies to CTA or not, but for all of the IRT sets except for the R62, which is one I forgot to mention, I'll think of others, I'm sure, as we go along here, but the R62 is the only set that is made truly to scale. All the other ones are a little bit too tall, I believe. And the 62 is the set that is truly to scale as far as height wise. And that was a set that all the other ones were supposed to be, but for some reason they were made bigger. Why? Who knows?
Okay. That is interesting. I didn't maybe I imagine maybe to get the motor in there. I
could be.
I don't know, because the trolleys are, the MTH trolleys are fairly small units, believe it or not, and they were able to get a motor in there and sound and boards and stuff like that. But I guess that's just the way they wanted to do it. So
for right now, Lionel and Subways, unfortunately, there hasn't not really much to say here. So Lionel back in 2007 or 8, they did the R27, the QT train. I have that one. It's a fantastic set. And they did that one. They did in 2010, I think, was the QJ, which was the R30 Redbird set. And then I know, Matt, you have this one, the R16, the silver and blue, the EE train. And that's been it after that. Nothing new as far as Lionel and as far as scale subways go. And everybody's screaming for it. I know I am. There's a guy I watch on YouTube, DJ. He's screaming for Lionel to do subways. There's a lot of people on the forum that are screaming for subways. Come on, Lionel, give us the subways. We know we want it.
I agree.
That's my plea.
Well, and now more than ever, right? Because
sure.
if MTH is going to close their doors, where are we going to get our subway trains from? Where are we going to get our O-scale subway sets?
Yeah.
So please, Lionel, if anything, Lionel, buy the tooling,
Yeah.
for the subway sets at MTH so you can start producing those, because people buy them. I see them on eBay quite often, both CTA and New York. There's always somebody on there selling something. There's still a lot left of the MTH came out with 4 CTA sets, like about a year and a half ago, and you could still find several of them. I know I've seen the pink train out there that's still available, and I know the regular silver one is still out there. I don't want it to stop, right?
No, me
I
neither.
love Subway so much. I think they're just such a cool, just a cool little model to have on your layout, especially like if you live in a metropolitan area where that is part of your transportation line, right? So I'm in Chicagoland area now. I take Metra, so I'm a little bit farther out, but I lived closer into the city. I've taken the CTA train all the time. I've taken the CTA train to a couple of Bears games. I've taken the CTA train to a Cubs game. Sorry, I had to use that word. Uh, uh, I've taken the CTA train to the White Sox game. I've taken just back and forth to a couple of to O'Hare Airport. I've taken it to Midway. So and I'm very familiar with taking the Chicago subways. I worked downtown for 7 years. I walked under the Loop subway system daily on a daily basis. And when a subway would come by, I would just always look up and be like, "Oh man, that is so cool." So to take that, out of the real world and then incorporate that in your own layout is just, it's just so cool for a model railroad. It's hard for other folks to, if you're not into model railroading, it's hard not, to grasp that concept. But for a model railroader, to take something that you see every day and then put that on your own railroad, especially if it's something that's localized where you live, it's such a cool feeling.
Sure. Yeah, like you were saying, I haven't been to New York City. I want to go, but for me and I got people that comment on my subway videos and say, "Hey, I ride the subway every day to school or to work or whatever." So it's really cool to know that, I'm showing somebody a model of something that they use every day. It's really, really cool.
And to kind of like branch off of that, I think it's a good time to kind of talk about the MTH system, like the MTH subway trains at closer detail, like what they have to offer, the sound sets on them, which are fantastic. So I'll start really quickly. I'll the CTA trains that they do for by MTH are just fantastic. The sound sets are spot on accurate. They're all a little different because I have 3200 series. I have the Bicentennials, which came out in like the 70s. And the sound set for that is definitely like, you could tell, it's definitely the 70s from that sound set. And then the brand, the 6000 series, which is like the current prototypes that are out there right now. And it's just like, if it's not spot on 1-for-1 accurate, because this is not going to happen. But I mean, if I run my train around the layout, people who aren't familiar, with that specific model are just be like, "Hey, that sounds like CTA." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a CTA subway train." So, I mean, they just do a great job. And then what makes it, I think the cherry on top here, and I'm hoping you agree with me on this, is the what MTH has called their trolley/subway mode.
Oh yeah.
And that is the absolute best thing on these MTH subway trains, because
Bar none.
what it is Yeah, I mean, that to be honest with you, this is how you get the most out of your subway train, because if you didn't know, and I bet you there are folks that don't know, if you didn't know that there's a subway trolley mode, you'd be kind of thinking, "Oh, these are cool, but like, how do I activate all of the sounds?" And like, this is, it's great, it's fantastic, but I thought there was more sounds in this thing, and there are. You have to run it if you have an MTH CTA train. You have to run it in trolley mode because, and let me explain what trolley mode is. Trolley mode is there to replicate an actual running subway train that is stopping and going, announcing different stations. Stay farther away from the tracks. Doors are closing. You get all of this stuff when you're running in subway mode because you turn on. You can do different ways. You can do a training mode, but I just tend to turn auto mode on. And what it does is, now the trains don't have every single stop, but I believe it's like, at least for the CTA red line train that I have, it does like every second or third stop, and it will announce the actual stop. So like my White Sox train is the the red line that goes down to Dan Ryan 95th Street. So, and it does have the Sox 35th Street stop on it. Thank goodness. I would think that the White Sox themed subway train would have the 35th Street Sox Park stop on it, and just and that particular White Sox MTH set is actually a prototypical. They did make a White Sox themed CTA train. There, and believe it or not, there actually are two variants of MTH made two variants of it. One came out in 2005 and the other one came out in 2007. I have the 2005 model. The 2007 model actually says World Series on it because obviously the White Sox won the World Series in 2005. It doesn't say World Series champions, just to note that but it does say World Series on it. So, which is kind of a cool thing. But I'm digressing. Let me go back to auto mode here. Yeah, see, this is what happens when we start talking about the subways, Matt.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, and what it does is you turn it on. So you set a particular speed that you want your subway to go. For me, I usually set it around 20 to 22 scale miles, and I turn on auto mode. And then what it does is you'll hear a voice that says auto mode. And then now what's going to happen is your subway's just going to go in automatic mode. You can put the controller down at this point.
You can turn it off.
You can turn it off the controller. You do not have to do anything else. You can sit back and relax. It will go around your track. It will say the next stop. It'll stop the train slowly. It'll usually have like the sound of opening doors. You'll hear people kind of like chatting, and you'll get that kind of like people commuter chat going on. Sometimes you'll get like mine. Sometimes they'll say like, we have a slight delay. We should be returning to normal operation in a few minutes or whatever. And then you'll get the, doors closing. It'll start moving again slowly. And then it'll say, the next stop is, XYZ or whatever. And it will do this until you actually stop it. And what's kind of cool is there's a couple of auto modes. You can go out and back. So what happens is it will go all the way to the end of the line, because it does actually hit the stops, at least on the CTA ones. It does hit the stops correctly. Like I said, like I noted before, it doesn't hit every stop, but it does hit them accurately in the right order. But when you get down to the end, like if the White Sox train gets down to Dan Ryan 95th Street, which is end of line, it'll actually, the train on the MTH train itself will go in reverse, and it will start over again, and then it will actually make the stops going back up the line until it gets until it gets all the way up to the the starting point again, and then it'll go forward again, and it'll just keep doing this until you obviously stop it on your remote. But to me, this is just like one of the best features. Now, Lionel does not have this feature. You can do some recording things, and I know, Matt, you have a video on how to do recording on the Legacy remote. But this is something that MTH has built in. You don't have to fiddle with recordings. You hit a couple buttons, and that's it. You're good to go.
It's fantastic. And then, like for the New York set, for the D train, when it gets up to Coney Island, it will reverse itself and then go back up to 205th Street. Grand Concourse for this era train, it's now Norwalk, but same difference. It's still 205th Street. So yeah, it's really cool. And then for the New York, you get the New York announcer, which it was Dennis Shore. Unfortunately, he passed away, so he's not doing it anymore. They have a different guy, Zach Summer, Brighton Zach. He does the announcements. He's from Staten Island, so he's got a real nice accent for that. And so it's fantastic. You get to watch the closing doors and the whole nine for New York City. So, it's fantastic. The auto mode is just killer. And plus, if you want it to not reverse, you can do a loop mode. And it does the same thing, except it just keeps going forward. So you got tons of possibilities and ways to do it. Whatever way you want to do it, they got a way for you. And plus, if you want to do it yourself, they got a manual mode that you can toggle. And so if you want to do it yourself, you can do it yourself. So yeah, that's really cool.
That is really cool. Now, if we talk about their counterpart, Lionel side. Now, Lionel doesn't have the auto mode. They do have the stops.
They have way more stops.
They do have way more stops. Yep. And of course, they all have. I should say all the command control models have opening. Do all the command control models have opening doors? Okay, that's what I thought. There are two Lion Chief models.
They did the Metro North and then the Long Island. 2 different years, but same set.
Wasn't there a conventional one?
As well? Like in 2006 or whenever.
Okay, I just wanted to make a note of that. Okay, okay. All right, and just if you've never seen the opening doors, Matt, I think you have a video of the opening doors.
Yeah, be prepared to be blown away.
Yeah, it is pretty. And I'll tell you one thing. The opening doors is just one of the coolest things, but if you actually look inside of these things, they are super detailed.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm not from New York, but I've seen movies about New York, and I've been to New York, but you look inside, it's got like that checkered floors. It's got looks like real, like the seats, how they look. I mean, they did a great job on the details as far as like interior goes on this thing. Now, I opened up my R16s and I put figures in all of mine too as well. But when I had them open, I was just like, wow, these are just, the cars are well done too. Like how they come apart.
They're great.
They are. There's like one. So you don't even have to disconnect any cables if you want to take it off. Now the one thing I did have to do is I had to take off the side trucks on one side, because that's kind of how you access the body screw. So on one of the trucks, I had to take off the side on them, which was easy to do. It's like 2 screws. But when I got it off, the way the pickup rollers talk and provide power and talk to the boards and all the things, because all these have like sophisticated lighting too. Like when you go in reverse, like the number boards will change as well on the Lionel ones. It's pretty slick. But when you open it up, there's like a circuit board on the right hand side, and that's how it kind of it connects into like onto a circuit interface. And so there's no wiring or anything you have to mess around with when you want to take these off of the shell off of the base. But yeah, this is just I really, really hope that they decide to either bring those back, or if they do get MTH some ways Maybe they can incorporate a lot of their own detail and make some scale, at least some scale CTA stuff.
I hope so.
You
There's, there's two things that I really want to see them do. I want to see power on both ends of the train, sounds on both ends of the train, and by both ends of the train, I mean the front car obviously has the sounds and everything, but have the rear car have sounds and motors maybe, because I've had problems with the sets when they reverse. Sometimes it jumps the track.
Yeah.
Have power on both ends, sound on both ends, and if you could marry a Lionel set with the opening doors, all the stops, like for the QT set, it's got all 29 stops or however many stops are on the route. It's awesome. If you could marry that with auto mode, you would have something.
Take my money.
Yeah, right.
take my money. Thing,
shut
right?
up and take my money, right?
Yeah, shut up and take my money. I'll take
sparking
4
cans or shoes. Yep. You would really, really have something. But unfortunately, we have what we have.
Yep. Now the Lionel one, the rear train does light up. And the number. In fact, it's kind of cool because I believe it works prototypical, right? Because the appropriate front part, if you go in reverse, the end car becomes the front of the train. But I believe all the appropriate lighting lights up to be the front of the train, and then what used to be the front also has the appropriate markers turn on and stuff like that.
Yes.
So
that's how it works.
Which is, I think, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And then on the Lionel, the destination boards, they changed with direction. They're directional too. So like on my set, it's got from Astoria to Coney Island. So when you're going towards Astoria is lit up on the front car. And then when you reverse on the rear train, the last car has the Coney Island destination board that lights up. And then the Astoria one on the front car goes off with all the appropriate end of train lights. And then on the sides of the car, the destination boards change from Astoria to Coney Island. So it's really, really cool.
I think the R16s go from Broadway to Continental to Whitehall.
Continental Avenue and Forest Hills to Whitehall Street, Manhattan.
Yeah, I apologize for my knowledge of that. Like I said, I'm a Chicago guy, but I'm trying to remember what was on the number boards because there was three sections on the number boards, I believe, that changed. So, okay, and one of the things that we should probably talk about, Matt, is the specialty subway sets that MTH has created.
Sure.
And what I mean by specialty sets is that they are themed across a certain brand. And I'll make an example of that is that there are actually CTA themed sets for some sports teams in Chicago. So there is the Cta Bears Train. And these things are great. If you don't know what they look like, the paint job on all these things are just fantastic. So yeah, do yourself a favor. I'm actually plan on doing a review of my White Sox one sometime in the future, but I believe you can find videos and pictures if you just Google it. But so CTA has, and I'm going to talk about CTA, and I'll let you handle the New York stuff. Obviously, there are a Cta Bears train. There is a Cta White Sox train. There is a Cta Cubs train. Now, I can tell you that the White Sox and the Cubs one are based off of actual prototypes. So there is a Cubs and a White Sox Cta train that are themed exactly like they look like on the MTH version. I'll go ahead and pass over to you, Matt.
All right, so for New York City, we only have 2 of them, and they're for the 2 big baseball teams. So we have the Mets train, which my uncle is a fan. He's a Mets fan, so I'm sure he'll probably get that in due time. They have that one, and then they also have the New York Yankees subway set. The Mets one, that one, there is a prototype for that, and it was when they had the fan trip. And the Yankee set, I believe, is a fictionalized scheme, but it's really cool. It's like a gray silver kind of color. It's definitely different looking. It's nothing I would buy, but it's really cool looking. Yeah, I think that MTH, they did a great job with that one. The Mets one is really cool because it's based off the 17 subway cars, the R17 subway cars. It's
Okay.
kind of like in the Redbird style scheme. It's really cool looking. I'm thinking about getting one of those just for the simple fact that it's a different color, not because it's Mets, which I like the Mets, but um, they have not done any baseball or baseball, any hockey or football teams, any of that stuff. It'd be kind of cool if they did, but what can you do?
Yeah, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Lionel make a Batman
Yes.
subway set? Okay. All right. I think that kind of probably covers that. Do we want to talk about the subway sets, trolleys, interurban stuff that we own?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. All right. I'll go and start. I own a plethora of, so I probably own I probably own way too many sub. Well, you know what? Should I say that? How could you? How could somebody? You can not own enough
No.
subway.
Can never
Okay,
have too many trains, period.
that's very true. So I own the Cta Bears 3200 series set. I own the Cta White Sox 3200 series set, the Yellow Book 3200 series. I own the Bicentennial series, and I have the 2-pack along with that. So I have a total of 6 cars for that one. I have the CTA Blue, the big blue CTA on the side. And that's the latest one. And I have the 4-pack set of that. And then I have the additional 2-pack add-on as well. I usually don't really run I usually don't run all 6 cars because sometimes you can get some kind of traction issue. It should. I mean, there's twin motors in the front lead unit, so it should pull them. But I tend to run just 4 cars in most cases. As far as interurban, well, I have one more subway actually. I do have the Lionel R16 subway set, and I have the 2-pack for that one as well. As far as interurban goes, I do own the MTH North Shore Electroliner set. Now that is a premier set. That is the only MTH premier interurban car that I own. And then I own a MTH trolley. I own 2. Well, I have one here and I have one coming on the way. So I have the Illinois Terminal trolley, which, well, actually, you know what? Let me correct that. It's a streetcar. So I own the Illinois Terminal streetcar. I own the Chicago streetcar, which I just recently found on eBay for a really, really cheap price. That should be here sometime in the next week. And then I do have a trolley, an actual trolley. Now the Chicago and the Illinois Terminal are streetcars. I own the Christmas trolley by MTH, which I just remembered that I have. So that one's kind of like a it's Christmas theme. So it's basically all the stops are like you're going around it's the North Pole trolley. So it's an elf. The sound set is an elf.
That's so cool.
He's literally saying like next stop Candy Cane Lane or something like that. But it's I run it at Christmas time. I love it. It's a fantastic little thing. So I forgot to bring that up as a theme. So yeah, there is a holiday trolley by MTH. So that is pretty much the extent of my the engines that I own. Now, things that I want to add onto that. I wouldn't mind picking up the Pink Line, the new Pink Line CTA train.
I agree.
Kind of thinking about that one. I think it looks really cool. And it's very unique looking, and I believe it is the anniversary set as well of the Pink Line. So it is the
it's the 10th anniversary.
10th anniversary. Yeah, I believe it's the 10th anniversary. So I believe it does say 10th anniversary on it as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I think it does.
Yep. And I would not mind having another trolley as well. Not a streetcar, but a trolley as well. Something that's not Christmas based. So I've been kind of looking into that. I haven't been able to find a Chicago based one, but they're all over. They have trolleys for everywhere. I think I was going to maybe pick up a San Francisco one or something. And that about wraps it up for me. How about you, Matt?
Well, for me, my collection isn't near as big as yours, but as far as subways, which is the only thing I have right now, I have two. I have the R42 E Train, which has the graffiti on it, and it's a beautiful, beautiful set. And then, of course, we have the R27, the QT set, with the opening doors and the whole nine. It's beautiful. So I got those two, and then I also have the R40F train that's on its way. So that's going to be great once I get that. As far
And
as
both of your MTH are Premier, right?
yes, well,
Yeah, that's awesome.
really good stuff. So they got all the 40 has all the detail. It's got the floors, or not the floors, the seats. It's got people in there. It's got the strap hangers. It's even got the ceiling fans on there. So it's a
wow,
beautiful
really?
set. Yeah, I can't wait for that thing.
Oh my god, that is awesome.
I'll definitely snap some interior pictures when I do a video on it.
Is that Proto 2?
Yes.
Okay. Oh man, I got to see this thing. That sounds really awesome.
Yeah, it is really, the R32 set that I have, it's a little annoying because there's no interior. They have the opening doors, which is, it's cool. I wish they opened automatically, but it's cool, but at the same time, there's no interior. No people, no floor, no nothing. It's just the plain white, beige, whatever color you want to call it, interior. It's kind of annoying, the fact that I'd have to go and detail the whole thing. But what can you do? So
is there seating inside of there?
Well, there is, but it's kind of like standing room only because
okay.
the door mechanism goes right through the middle of the seat. So it's like,
okay.
Okay. It would be a very uncomfortable chair for the passenger to sit on. I'll tell you that much.
I guess that was the payoff, right?
Yeah.
We'll give you the manual opening doors, but you're gonna take a hit to your interior, I guess.
I'd rather have the interior, but as far as sets I'd like to own, pretty much any New York City thing is fair game, except for the more recent stuff. The 62s, the R142A, I'm not a real huge fan of. But, any of the early stuff, the 17s, definitely the older stuff, the R1s and the Bmt Standards, those are like the two top things I want. If I could own nothing else but those two sets, those would be the two I want. Those are absolutely gorgeous. But, I'm more the older style stuff, but that's just what I like. And that's all I have for right now. I would love an MU set eventually, but gotta find one for the right dollar. No trolleys yet either.
No, okay, that's all right. What about something that we didn't actually hit on is the Christmas lights.
Oh,
not CTA, apologize.
the New York.
The Christmas lighted New York subway trains that MTH produced.
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
that one's pretty cool. My issue with the Christmas lights on that set is the wire to the board. So the way the MTA sets are is when you fire them up, they have the interior lights. When you do it in command, they have the interior lights only in the cars. When you press the start key and start the train, you have the headlights and number boards or whatever the exterior lights are. On the Christmas set, the Christmas lights on the exterior of the car, they're wired to the number boards. So when you turn the set on in command before you start it, the Christmas lights are off. So they're only on when you have the train actually started up with the remote. They're not on when you turn on track power, which is really annoying because all the other cars have their Christmas lights on except for that one. Why they did it like that, I have zero idea.
That is kind of strange. I didn't know that.
The Canadian Pacific Holiday Train, that's like that too. My aunt has that one, and the lights are only on when the thing started. So I don't know.
Still pretty cool looking.
Oh yeah, I mean it's beautiful.
So yeah, those are beautiful looking. I haven't been able to see I haven't seen one in person.
Me neither.
But from the videos from the MTH page and the YouTube videos that I saw, those are really cool. Now, I guarantee you're not opening those things up to put figures
Oh no,
inside.
you're not opening them up to do anything.
No, yeah, that's the one drawback to those any of those Christmas light. Now, granted, they are fantastic visually. They are just awesome looking pieces, but you need to do work on those things. You're not touching it
No.
unless it's not even out of warranty. I don't even know if I would even open those things up. But
Heck, I would put them on the layout and not touch them afterwards because
yeah,
those light strings, you would touch them and they'll break.
yeah,
You got to
yeah,
be really, really careful with those things.
yep. They're all little mini LEDs, right?
And they're like hairs the wire. It's like that magnet wire.
Yep,
It's super, super tiny.
yep.
Yeah, you're not doing figures, LEDs, nothing. You better hope the lights never blow out, and you better not want figures. It ain't happening.
Yeah, that was the downfall of that I kind of thought like, man, these are beautiful, but oh boy, are these like and also like when you open it up new, like what if you take it out of the box and then like I know they come in special packaging to protect the little LED lights, but man, like what if like one was not working, right? Like yeah, I don't even know how you would even like do you just live with it or you just be like, well, take it back. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know neither. That's something I hope I never have to worry about because I'm not going to go in for that one. But I'll buy the regular non-Christmas lit low V first.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that pretty much wraps it up. But I think maybe we go over some just really quick closing thoughts. Matt, you go ahead and go first.
Sure. So, like for me, New York City, if you're into New York City and you enjoy it, by all means, buy all the subways you can. With MTH not being around anymore, the chances of us seeing Lionel Subways or ex MTH Subways, I don't know if that's ever going to happen again. So, you know what? If you like it, buy it, enjoy it, have fun with it. And that's really basically all I got to say. If you have it now, keep it going. Your 5-volt boards for your subways, keep them going. Charge your batteries, change your speakers. Get them up to snuff and enjoy them for years to come because they are fantastic sets all the way. You can't beat these things. They're great.
Agree with you 100%. If you love trolleys, if you love subways, if you like interurban, I think the O gauge does it best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put it that way. They do make HO subway sets, but if you want the best sound, if you want the details that you get, you're not gonna find opening doors anywhere else. I mean, the O gauge subway sets are to me, and I don't want to be biased here, but they truly are like the best in the industry. It's if you love those kind of engines, I shouldn't call them engines, but if you love those type of transportation, transport type vehicles, you can't go wrong in O scale. They're just fantastic, and yeah, just please, Lionel, if you ever hear this, buy the tooling. Even if you don't buy the tooling, keep the subways coming.
Absolutely.
There are people that want them. There's an audience for it, and just if you put them out there, I will buy it 100%.
Me too.
If Lionel puts out another legacy subway set, I will pre-order the thing without a doubt. So, all right. Well, I think that was a great episode. I think we definitely covered, one of our favorite, types of vehicles, transport vehicles, and I think a commuter should call it a commuter vehicle. But Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me under YouTube, and that is Matt-Trainlover9943. They also have a Facebook page under the same name. We can check out updates and other things I have going on.
Yeah, and I can be found on YouTube at West Chicago Railroad, and I can also be found on Facebook at West Chicago Model Railroad. Matt and I thank everyone for anybody that's subscribing or listening to us. We really appreciate it. again, really looking for feedback and really looking for some topics to cover in the future.
Absolutely.
So, yep. So I think that wraps it up. Thanks everybody for listening, and have a good night.
Take care.